Hey everybody, Average Picker here. So Lockhack, he has an issue. What do you do with all this stuff? He has a storage issue, right? Because you accumulate a lot of stuff in lockpicking, and what do you do with it? And so I thought I'd make this little video and look at kind of some of the stuff I've used in the past, what I'm currently using, things like that. And I know every so often some of us will do a little behind the scenes kind of thing of our, lock lab or whatever. But maybe some focus on storage would be something too, because I would love to see what you all use. I'm sure Lockhack would like to see it as well. Yeah, just all around sharing of these storage solutions, especially on the cheap. I think that's one of his prerequisites. I'm going to say though to you, Lockhack, I don't know how much stuff you've got, and I don't know what your setup is like. If you're just kind of permanently in one place and you can kind of shove everything off to the side or just leave it up, or if you have to actually pack it up and physically move it somewhere. When I first started picking, I pretty much had to use the kitchen table. So everything had to be a little bit portable for me, but not too bad. Though I would go out sometimes and pick other places and stuff, and I would want to cart at least a certain amount of equipment with me. So a lot of my solutions were kind of geared towards trying to get as small and compact as possible, but I gave up on that and outgrew it. But let's take a look at a few things I've got. This is a quick little pickup edit because I was thinking, I don't know how useful this video is going to have been, but I also don't know how you kind of have your stuff organized. And I will say, at least for my purposes, what I discovered, and it's getting a little blurrier now as everything grows for me, was the more separated I kept it, the better, because a lot of the cheaper solutions are kind of smaller plasticky items and things like that, and they hold up fine and they do the purpose. But you can't really hold everything. And so what I tended to do was I started separating, okay, this is all challenge lock picking stuff. This is challenge lock building stuff. And these are stock locks. That's kind of how I categorized everything. So then I could just have, these little containers and say, okay, I'm going to be picking challenge locks. That's what I'm going to be working on tonight. Take that and the tools, set down on the kitchen table, do a video. I'm going to be building a challenge lock. Let me get the challenge lock build container, right? So, sometimes there's not a perfect solution, but it's how you can kind of split and divide the tasks, so you can get everything else kind of temporarily crammed away and you're not having to bring everything, right? You just have to go, I'm building a challenge lock. I need, drawer number 3 or drawer holder number 3 or whatever it is. Oh, I'm going to be picking challenge locks. I need number 1, or I'm going to be doing stock locks. I need number 2, something like that. Sometimes maybe the way it's divided up is just as important, if not more important, than what you're storing it in, right? Even if it was just in plastic bags, if you've got it split up well enough, you can just grab those bags and work from that. So, I don't know. So before I show you some specific things I found, I don't know where you're looking exactly. I think a lot of us we probably tend to gravitate first towards looking at like tool options, toolboxes, tool storage, that kind of thing. But I'm not meaning like either specific places like Target, Amazon, stuff like that. But bed bathroom storage solutions often has a lot of plastic things that aren't too expensive, drawers and stuff like that. Woodworking storage solutions tends to be kind of pricey, but they do tend to have some neat stuff. Jewelry making, anyone into jewelry, they usually have some similar-ish stuff as like pliers and screwdrivers and little things like that. But they're always in need of storage solutions similar to like, similar-ish enough to what we deal with. And there's some great beading cases you can get pretty dirt cheap, especially if they're like a kid set. They just have all these cheapo beads that'll probably give you lead poisoning or something, but the case itself is not too bad. So that's an option, I guess, or a little bit off the path maybe of what to look for as far as storage goes. I'm trying to think. Home office storage, that's another kind of keyword or area I search, you go to Target, they usually have a small office section. You can explore that. Artist stuff, art storage, art supply storage. That's a good one too, and they have some really neat storage cases, and very practical in a lot of ways too, because they have to cart their stuff back and forth. One warning on that though, check the drawer depth. If you do find a cheap art case, often you'll see pencils lined up and in those drawers, and I promise you, if you cannot find the depth of the drawer, it is that pencil. So, for locks, we're gonna need about 1.5 inches average, I guess, and that will pretty much hold everything you're gonna toss in it, maybe except for some really larger locks. But yeah, usually the drawers just over 1 inch, you're okay. But yeah, the art supply stuff, they've got some neat solutions, but a lot of it's very, very slim. Another kind of key word area to search for, possibly makeup and jewelry cases. I don't have it anymore. I actually used to have it was like an earring stand or something, and it was like this weird woman, but then she had these tentacle things coming out, and it was meant to hang earrings on, and I just hung padlocks on it. So yeah, jewelry and makeup cases, you can often find stuff. Oh gosh, if I tilt the camera, can you see it? Up there in the corner, there is a pink caboodle. That has been the main working case, or it was the main working case for the pirate radio station for years and years and years. And caboodles are usually dirt cheap. And they can actually, surprisingly, you could cram a lot of crap in there. So that's another option maybe to look for. Find yourself a nice pink caboodle. I don't think you can tell. It's a very lovely pink color. Yeah, so that thing. Tackle boxes, I guess, are another you can get a lot of plastic tackle boxes that are fairly portable. Gosh, I'm trying to think what else. Watch cases. You can get these like display cases for watches. They tend to start to get pretty expensive. You can sometimes find some that are pretty cheap. I don't know build quality wise what they're like, but they can amp up pretty good. But one of the nice things is, because people want to display the watches, kind of done on those little plinth things so that it holds the whole watch band out. That's thicker than a watch, so you don't have to worry about the drawer depth as much. The drawers are usually pretty good for lining the watches up in, and a lot of times there's a flip up lid on them as well. You can put stuff in the top. But again, price wise, I'm not sure what it is, but that's something that's off the beaten path that you might not think to look up. So I used this little guy for quite a while, actually. And you can see it still serves as some storage. This was my challenge lock drawers, though. It depended on how many I had and what was going in and what was coming out. But usually unpicked ones were up here, and then picked things went into here until they were ready to go out. Or sometimes it'd be the first 2 drawers for unpicked, and the bottom one were locks that were picked and ready to go out. Again, I think I picked this up in Target. I don't know why that's in there. I think I picked it up at Target in the bathroom section. And I don't imagine I paid very much for it. It is just plastic, but it can take, as long as you're not moving it around, it can take a surprising amount of weight. So I think you mentioned something like this as well. And again, I think this came from Target. And again, I think it was in the bathroom storage area. But they are just boxes, and they snap together. And some of them have dividers in them. Let's see if I can get the camera up. And and some of them don't have dividers in them. And I used to use this quite a bit, actually, and especially when I traveled. Now, locks, I will say, locks get really heavy. And that is the handle. And you are asking a lot of that handle. So I would say, if you're really got it loaded down, carry it from the bottom. That being said, I never had an issue with it. Most of the time, it's small enough it would slide down in my backpack. make the backpack incredibly heavy, but it did work. And I could just travel around with it. And one of the nice things too was you could kind of only take certain trays. So sometimes I knew if I was going somewhere and it was just going to be like myself and a whole bunch of people, I was just showing how to pick locks. I would just bring a tray with just the basics in it. I wouldn't stock it full. If I was going somewhere and it was going to be a mix or I didn't know, I might add another layer to it, and just grab some more interesting or intermittent stuff or whatever. But yeah, they stack up and it works pretty well. Like I said, I wouldn't overly trust the handle when you have it loaded down with locks. But these side snaps have never really failed me. I mean, I've not tipped it over, done anything crazy with it. They've never come accidentally unbuckled. The only thing I've ever worried about breaking off was the handle. This is from Target Office Supply, though I think I picked this up at a yard sale, and this was kind of an experiment. You can see technically that was the other drawer. One of the ideas was to keep the one drawer intact for putting locks in. I cut the supports off, bent this bit down, and then I was basically going to build a small, little crossbar bit or something here, and allow the picks to slide into it. So it would be like this one piece that kind of held a few locks and your picks, or some of your, gunning tools and your picks. Ultimately, though, I just never finished it off. But yeah, I picked this up at some yard sale for pretty much next to nothing. So this is what I'm primarily using now, at least back in this back room where I do the challenge lock builds. These, I don't know what stuff like this runs. I actually have two of these. One is from IKEA, and I bought it used, so I didn't pay the full price for it. And then one of the other ones is actually much more solid, and would probably run a bit high if you were to find it new. I get the two confused all the time though, until I start trying to wheel them around. That's when I can tell the cheaper IKEA one. And I think this is the good one, if I remember correctly. So yeah. So this mass here, you can see that's the other one. Like I said, I picked them both up really inexpensively. Just various places. I don't know. I work at the Restore, plus I hit a fair number of just consignment stores and anything like that, yard sales. So you tend to find this kind of stuff like that. So you have seen this in the background of every video, and this was my favorite find ever. This took me a long time for searching, and it actually came into the Restore of all places. I don't know where you'd go about buying something like this out in the wild, but it worked out to be absolutely perfect. 6 drawers, and you can see, I mean, they're pretty ideal for holding the locks. That's just about probably a 1.5 2 inch drawer. Absolutely ideal. I wish I could tell you where you could find something like this. I wish I could find another one like this. I searched and searched and searched, and when this came in, I grabbed it immediately. But to me, something like this is almost ideal. Now, with all the locks that are in it right now, it is really heavy. That being said, I can still lift it up and carry it around, and it's solid enough that it's not breaking or falling apart from that, though I do move it very infrequently. But I would trust this to carry it out to my car, put it on the seat, go somewhere, carry it in, set it on another table. I would trust it for that. It would probably hold up pretty well for a while, at least as long as I didn't bang it around and abuse it too much. But yeah, that's my favorite by far storage case. And again, because it came to the Restore, I was able to get it really, really dirt cheap. I will point this guy out because I tried to use this for a hot minute. This is an IKEA piece. I believe it was right around $10 to $15. It was meant to be painted or whatever. You do have to put those little screws in and everything yourself. It's a kind of a build-it-yourself flat packed project. It's absolutely crap. I don't recommend it. What I found was just the drawers, some of them would stick, and everything was always sliding and shuffling back, and it was just a pain. Of course, the drawers aren't sticking now because they don't really have much in them. But yeah, when it got loaded down, like, I guess this would kind of bend in and, you know, push down on the boxes a little bit, and it just became a general pain in the butt. So yeah, that didn't work out too well. And right there, you can see one of my favorite, cheapest options, priority mailboxes, the large ones. You can pick those up for free. They expect you to mail them, but you don't have to. Bring them home, tape them up. If you can do some cross tape on it and it reinforces them pretty well. I have even gone so far as to cut little slots and drawers into those. You can get pretty creative with the cardboard, and a liberal use of tape, it kind of holds up. Again, it is made of cardboard, so it's not going to hold up great. But you can go and just, you know, grab like 5 of these. They won't even bat an eye. Bring them home, fold them up, and if you've got maybe locks just long-term storage or something, you don't use them as often or whatever, you know, just chuck them all in there, stack them, you know, right on the sides what they are. It's a great little cheapo organizer. Oh, you know what? I've got these few items here, like particularly down there and up there, and those were from makeup, or jewelry, I think is what it was. Yeah, jewelry. And again, I got those dirt cheap. Just kind of came across them, but that's just another thing, you know, you can try to look up. In fact, I'll just throw an edit in. Yeah, I'll throw an edit in earlier, and then you'll hear this part and be like, oh, this is the part he's editing. You can also find these in varying degrees. I don't know what all you're trying to do storage for, and I'm sure you've seen people post about these roll-up tool bags on the subreddit before, but a lot of people do seem to like these, especially for putting their picks and stuff in, and you could just roll them up, and they are really nice compact storage. I don't like them. I had this weird plan to cut some of these down and try to experiment with them. Never did it, but you can usually pick these up fairly cheaply. Again, it's this thing that can run from, you know, a handful of dollars up to whatever you want to pay for it, depending on, you know, you can get all kinds of leathered out ones and stuff like that. But you can usually find even like a pack like this that has like 3 or 4 in it, pretty cheaply. So yeah, there we go. I don't know if that's that useful or not. I think if there's any advice in there maybe that's useful, it's just about getting off the path a little bit. You know, a bedroom, bathroom kind of storage, art supply storage, you know, crafting storage, bead making storage. I'm trying to think what else. You know, I mentioned the watch display cases, jewelry display cases. Trying to think. Well, I don't remember what everything I've mentioned at this point. Even there's even probably some. You can probably find some like electronic stuff for people doing electronic work. It might work fairly okay. Yeah. So that might be the best piece of advice in this whole video, is just how to get a little bit maybe off the beaten trail as far as storage solutions or storage options go. Bed Bath & Beyond, the office and bathroom section of like Targets or Kohl's or any place that has that kind of bathroom storage stuff would be good. Walmart, I'm sure, has it. Yeah, just get off that beaten path a little bit, and you could probably find some options. What I'm assuming you're going to end up with too is probably what I had initially, which was not one storage solution. And you can see kind of I still have it. It's just multiple storage solutions, and you just try to keep them down and as compact as possible. And if you organize them well, you know, you can usually just kind of grab the bits maybe you want or need at the time and work from there and keep everything else crammed in a corner. I used to even use a folding table before I moved to the kitchen table, actually, to do where I did the filming. Initially learned to pick on a folding table with that first piece I showed you with the plastic drawers that held the locks. And then, yeah, just a little folding table. So yeah, I don't know. Hope that helps a little bit or gives you some idea or gets you thinking. I do have a video a long time ago, and I still have this idea for a whole entire portable picking station. I'm sure it would be quite heavy to lug around, but the idea was to get all your picking needs into one thing that was fairly compact, and you could pull out and pick and gut and store locks in. So if you know a woodworker, that might be an idea. We could talk about that later. Yeah, anyway, there you go. Sloppy lock storage solutions video. Have a good one, everybody.